Before diving into the video, did you know that over 80% of you watching right now aren't subscribed? Your one like and one subscribe means the absolute world to this channel and helps us keep going. Hit those buttons real quick and let's get into the video. Chapter 1. The Breaking Point. My sister Elena gave my most beloved car to that poor student. I didn't cry and I didn't make a scene. Seeing me act so differently from usual, my sister felt slightly uneasy and took the initiative to explain. Felix doesn't have much income. He's looking for a job right now, and that model can't be bought anymore. I gave it to him so he could keep up appearances. I originally wanted to buy him the latest sports car, but Felix just likes that one of yours. You used to be so obedient. You won't refuse, right? My childhood sweetheart Chloe also echoed. That's right, Julian. Felix used to be so pitiful. You should take better care of him. I let out a cold laugh and calmly interrupted them. No need to explain. Give it to him. My sister and Chloe froze at the same time. They never expected me to be so understanding, but no one knew better than the two of them that the car was my coming-of-age gift, bought for me by my sister with all her savings. I used to have all of my sister's favoritism, but now in my sister's heart, I was no longer her younger brother. That poor student was. It was time for me to face reality. Chloe then added, Julian, don't worry. Once Felix's job is stable, I'll fulfill my promise to you and marry you. I silently packed up all my things. This time, I would disappear from their world completely, never to see them again. Because I had won award after award in the field of painting, I had a TV interview recording that afternoon. Unexpectedly, I ran into the three of them there. Felix was wearing a high-end custom suit and sitting on the sofa for the interview. My sister and my childhood sweetheart Chloe blocked my way, afraid that I would cause trouble for Felix. My sister looked at me guilty and hurried to explain on Felix's behalf. Julian, let Felix have this recording opportunity. You've already been on TV many times anyway. You won't care about missing this one. Chloe echoed. That's right, Julian. This is Felix's first time on TV. Felix glanced at me, his eyes full of smugness. My sister Elena looked at me awkwardly. All right, Julian, you should go back first. With you here, Felix will feel uncomfortable. They were worried I would make a scene and affect the recording. Since I was going to leave anyway, I said nothing and was just about to go. During the break in the TV recording, Felix pushed up his gold-rimmed glasses and walked over. Julian, don't be angry. I was the one who asked Elena for this. If you want to blame someone, blame me. This is still my first time on TV. Thank you, Julian, for giving me such a precious opportunity. I looked at him calmly and said, It's fine. Seeing how calm I was, Elena and Chloe stepped forward and grabbed my hands. Julian, you're not angry? You're not jealous? I turned my head and looked at them. I had fought for it before. I had tried to take back what was mine before. Did it ever work? On the very first day Felix came to my house, he falsely accused me of pushing him down the stairs. Back then, they locked me in confinement, and I nearly died. From that moment on, no matter how I fought, I was always wrong. The trust built through countless days and nights together since childhood had disappeared long ago without me even knowing when. So why should I demean myself? I'm not angry. You can do whatever you want. My sister and Chloe exchanged looks, wanting to explain something to me. I ignored them and turned to leave. Chapter 2. The Stolen Legacy. It was very late when the three of them finally returned. Felix was protected between the two of them, one on each side. He was holding a large bouquet of roses, looking extremely happy. When she saw me, my sister Elena spoke first. Julian, look how amazing Felix is. Felix's drawing draft won an international award. I suddenly understood. No wonder the TV station was willing to accept a last-minute replacement. So it wasn't just because of my family influence, it was all thanks to sister's huge help. Felix seemed to be implying something. Chloe held the drawing draft in her hands and showed it off as she said, Someone won a few awards and thought he was so impressive. Our Felix can do it too. I looked at the lines on the draft, and my pupils suddenly contracted. I stood up, stepped forward, and snatched the draft from my childhood sweetheart Chloe's hand. Page after page, they were almost identical to my original drawing drafts. Felix only won the grand prize because he stole my drawing draft. You stole my work, Felix. You're fucking shameless. I was trembling with anger and couldn't help but swing a slap at him. But Chloe angrily shoved me away. Caught off guard, I stumbled and fell to the ground. Julian, you've been arrogant and domineering since you were little. I'm warning you, try laying a finger on Felix. Felix won that award with his own ability. You say Felix stole your drawing draft. What proof do you have? Without proof, That's slander. Julian, I really didn't steal your draft. You've never liked me and have always guarded against me. How would I even have the chance to get near your draft? Felix looked like he was about to cry, his face full of grievance. I looked at Elena in disbelief. My draft had always been kept inside the locked safe in the study, and aside from me, my sister was the only person who knew the password. My sister knew I was looking at her, and she guiltily shifted her gaze away. At that moment, what else was there for me not to understand? Julian, how long are you going to keep causing trouble? You disappoint me so much. Chloe slowly walked over and looked down at me from above. I really don't understand how I ever fell for you back then. I looked at her mockingly and was just about to say something, but my gaze was drawn to the diamond bracelet on Felix's wrist. The instant I saw it clearly, I was overwhelmed with rage. That diamond bracelet was the keepsake my mother left me before she passed away. It was the only thing I had left to remember her by. I treasured it like my life. Normally, I kept it locked inside the safe in the study and couldn't even bear to wear it. But I never imagined that the bracelet I valued as much as my own life would appear on Felix's wrist. Elena, what right do you have to give him the bracelet Mom left behind? I pointed at Felix, my eyes bloodshot. Elena pressed her lips tightly together, her eyes flickering. Felix's expression darkened with sadness, and he reached out as if to take off the bracelet. Julian, I'm sorry. It's all my fault. I really didn't know this bracelet was Auntie's keepsake. I'll take it off and return it to you right now. As he spoke, tears dripped down one after another, as if he had suffered some enormous grievance. Elena instantly felt terribly sorry for him. Felix, don't take it off. Since I gave it to you, just wear it. After saying that, my sister looked at me again. It's just a bracelet. Since Felix likes it, let him have it. I'll buy another bracelet for you later. My heart was instantly pierced through, as if by a sharp blade. My voice trembled as I said, this bracelet is the keepsake Mom left for me. Elena, you have no right to decide for me. My things, even if I threw them into the trash, I would never let this bastard wear them. A flash of anger quickly crossed Elena's face. Julian, stop being so malicious toward Felix. He used to be so pitiful. Isn't it only right for us to care about him more? Felix lowered his head and cried silently. Chloe wiped away his tears with heartache. Then she turned to look at me. Julian, don't go too far. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have taken Julian's things. As Felix spoke, he took the bracelet off his wrist. Because he was too hurried, a cut instantly opened across the back of his hand. Bright red blood flowed down along the back of his hand. Elena and Chloe instantly looked heartbroken. Tears shimmered in Chloe's eyes. Felix, how are you? Does it hurt? Elena hurriedly ran into the bedroom to get the first aid kit. The two of them busied themselves around Felix, disinfecting the wound on the back of his hand and putting a bandage on it. I couldn't help but think of the past. Back then, whenever I got even the slightest injury, they would also fuss over me like this, their eyes full of heartache. So why did everything change the moment Felix appeared? Chapter 3. Ashes and Disappearance. Julian, are you satisfied now? Chloe slammed the bracelet back at me, her bright eyes blazing with fury. Come on, Felix, I'll buy you something even more expensive and better looking right now. We don't need his cheap junk. Elena glanced at me and sighed. Julian, why are you always so childish? Felix has suffered so much in the past. Now that he finally found us, why can't you tolerate him at all? You're a grown man. Why can't you be more generous? And about the drafts, Julian, you've already won so many awards. You don't lack this one, but Felix is different. He urgently needs this award as a stepping stone to build his reputation. Elena came over and tried to help me up. Get lost. I slapped her hand away, shouted, and suddenly laughed. I stared straight at her. My dear sister, you really are my dear sister, aren't you? Elena frowned but avoided my gaze, not daring to meet my eyes. Julian, I'll make it up to you in the future. After saying that, she no longer cared about me. She hurried after Chloe and Felix. After they left, the entire villa fell silent and empty. This villa held all the memories of my youth. Back then, Chloe used to follow me everywhere. She even lived in my house for a period of time. When she was little, she was afraid of sleeping alone and would secretly crawl into my bed. She said that when she grew up, she would marry me. My sister was also timid, but she loved watching horror movies. After watching them, she didn't dare sleep alone either, so she would run over and squeeze into the same bed with us. Later, she simply dragged me and Chloe to watch them together. Both of them were terrified. I was also scared, but as the only boy, I couldn't show it, so I could only pretend to be calm and comfort them. In elementary school, Chloe was very pretty, and some boys often bullied her. One day, she cried at her desk in anger. Without saying a word, I rushed over and fought those boys. I wasn't afraid of fights, but there were too many of them. After a chaotic scuffle, someone ran to call a teacher, and the group finally scattered while cursing. I collapsed on the ground, my face bruised and swollen, blood seeping from the corner of my mouth, my school uniform wrinkled and torn. Chloe's eyes were red. She helped me up with a face full of distress, tears falling uncontrollably as she looked at my injuries. "Why are you so stupid? There were so many of them, and you still went in." I just grinned at her without saying anything. Later, I fought them several more times, each time becoming more ruthless. After that, they never dared to bully Chloe again. When we were teenagers, one time we went to the lake. Chloe accidentally fell into the water, and my sister tried to pull her up but also slipped in. I panicked and shouted for help, but there was no one around. Just when I was about to break down, I found a long bamboo pole and managed to pull them both out one by one. After that, my sister and Chloe called me repeatedly, but I hung up every single time. I blocked and deleted all their contact information. Dragging my suitcase, I took one last look at the villa filled with memories. Then I turned around and left without hesitation. Everything related to them had already been discarded. At this moment, I had nothing left to hold on to. I deliberately avoided the cameras. Not long after I left, judging by the timing, the gas pipeline should have exploded. Sure enough, a loud boom came from the direction of my home, followed by thick smoke rising into the sky. The house that held all my memories was soon reduced to ruins. Chapter 4: A New Horizon. 3 days later, I had already set foot in Silicon Valley. When my mother passed away, she left both my sister and me a substantial inheritance. Each of us also chose to sponsor a poor student, and Felix was the one my sister Elena supported. His appearance had almost taken everything from me. The student I supported was named Seraphina. Through her own efforts, she got into Harvard University. In her sophomore year, she chose to start a business. She founded a startup company in Silicon Valley, and the startup capital came from me. I looked up at the towering building in front of me, completely stunned. "Incredible, Seraphina. Are you saying this entire building belongs to your company?" Seraphina smiled playfully and corrected me. "Julian, it's not my company, it's our company. You're the largest shareholder." I froze on the spot. It took me a long moment to come back to my senses. It felt like fireworks had exploded in my mind, an overwhelming wave of shock and surprise. Seraphina pulled me into the building. Employees moved briskly in all directions, their eyes filled with energy and ambition. They kept casting curious glances at me. We entered the top-floor office. A massive floor-to-ceiling window revealed the city's bustling skyline in full view. Towering buildings packed tightly together, traffic flowing endlessly through the streets. Seraphina walked lightly to the desk and picked up a folder, handing it to me. "Julian, take a look at the company's development plans and financial reports over the years. We've already submitted our IPO application to NASDAQ. The next step is entering the public market." I suddenly looked up at her at that moment. She was dressed like a true CEO, an image of a powerful businesswoman. She was radiant, and in terms of appearance, figure, and aura, she easily surpassed Chloe. It left me momentarily dazed. I still remembered the first time I met her back then. She was thin and frail, her hair dull and yellowed, clearly undernourished compared to who she was now. She was completely unrecognizable. Seraphina, feeling my intense gaze, even showed a faint hint of shyness. I flipped through the documents. Line after line of data documented the company's journey from nothing to where it was today. A warm current rose in my chest. I felt proud of Seraphina's resilience and ability, and deeply relieved by the decision I had made to support her all those years ago. Seraphina used to regularly report the company's progress to me, but my attention had always been on my sister and Chloe. I kept draining myself emotionally for them. I had no energy left to care about Seraphina's side of things. I never expected she would give me such a massive surprise. Just as I was reading, Seraphina suddenly slapped her forehead. "Oh right, I was so focused on business that I forgot to properly show you around." Chapter 5: Unraveling Illusion. At that moment, Elena and the other two were vacationing on a yacht in the South China Sea. The yacht belonged to Chloe personally. Everything on board had been arranged according to Felix's preferences. That morning, Chloe and Felix were taking photos. While browsing her phone, Chloe accidentally saw a news report from the capital. It stated that a standalone villa in the Junin estate had caught fire. Because it happened in the middle of the night, firefighters only arrived after the building had already been completely burned down. All that remained were broken walls and ruins. Due to the intensity of the fire, the scene was extremely dangerous and complex, and no bodies were recovered. Police reviewed nearby surveillance footage. No one was seen leaving the villa. The preliminary conclusion was that the people inside were very likely dead. Chloe's finger paused for a moment as she swiped past the news. For a brief instant, she seemed distracted. Felix adjusted the camera, taking photos of Chloe from different angles. Chloe put down her phone and cooperated with him, striking various poses with a bright smile. Meanwhile, Elena, sunbathing on the deck, held her phone with a faint sense of unease. After hesitating for a long time, she finally found Julian's number and dialed it. "Hello, the number you have dialed." She tried several times before finally realizing she could no longer reach Julian. Elena angrily threw her phone aside, but a strange uneasiness lingered in her chest. However, thinking back to Julian's past reckless behavior, her expression darkened again. He needed a harsh lesson, otherwise he would only become more uncontrollable and defiant in the future. A week later, the three of them returned to the capital after their vacation. Chloe eagerly brought Felix back home. Just as they arrived at the entrance, a Maserati Quattroporte pulled up. A tall, elegant woman stepped out of the car and looked at Chloe with deep disappointment. "Chloe, this is too much. Julian hasn't even been gone for a few days, and you're already parading around with this disgrace? You two grew up together, and you even had an engagement. How can you be so heartless?" This woman was Chloe's aunt, Vivian. Vivian had once been close friends with Julian's mother, and they shared a deep bond. After Julian's mother passed away, Vivian had treated him like her own son. Chloe exchanged a comforting glance with Felix and replied, "Annie, don't be fooled by Julian. A man as arrogant and domineering as him. How could he possibly die?" Vivian stared at her in disbelief and shook her head repeatedly. "You've had it too easy these years. That's why you've become so self-righteous. You don't have to believe me, but you should at least trust the police report. Go to the police station right now with Elena and collect Julian's belongings. Once you see them, you'll know whether I'm lying." Chloe's expression flickered, but she still insisted firmly, "No way. Julian is just trying to get my attention. He's always been so childish." Felix spoke up. "Annie, Chloe has a point. Because Julian has always acted out before, it's normal that she doesn't believe it." Vivian's face instantly darkened. "Who do you think you are? How dare you call me auntie?" Felix's face turned pale at once. Vivian then turned back to Chloe. "I don't want to waste words anymore. Go and see for yourself." Chloe raised her voice. "Fine. I'll go right now. I want to see what kind of stunt Julian is pulling this time." Chapter 6. The Scorched Truth. For some reason, an ominous feeling lingered in Chloe's heart. It made her chest tighten, almost suffocating. In the car, Chloe's face was dark and heavy, as if it could drip with water. She tried calling Julian again. Still no answer. She called Elena next. No one picked up either. Unable to reach either of them, Chloe grew increasingly irritated. "Drive faster," the driver responded, and the car immediately accelerated. Felix wrapped an arm around Chloe's shoulder and said gently, "Chloe, don't worry, Julian is definitely fine." Normally Chloe would have softened at this, but this time she didn't lean into his embrace. Instead, she frowned slightly and quietly moved out of his arms. Felix asked, "Chloe, do you think something really happened to Julian?" Chloe remained silent, her face dark and unreadable. Felix lowered his voice. "Julian must just be acting out because he cares too much about you and Elena. Don't blame him. It's all my fault. You two stayed with me. That's why Julian got angry again." But Chloe didn't seem to hear him at all. She stayed silent, a faint shadow flickering in her eyes. Felix's heart tightened, and he no longer dared to speak. When they arrived at the Junin villa, Chloe's pupils contracted sharply. The villa she had visited countless times since childhood was now in ruins, a scorched wasteland. It was clear the fire had burned for a long time. Most of the furnishings inside had turned into black ash. In the middle of the ruins, Elena was kneeling on the ground. She looked like a walking corpse. Chloe called her several times, but she didn't respond. Elena's 10 fingers were completely blackened, and blood was still dripping from them. Chloe suddenly remembered the news she had seen on the yacht. Only then did she realize it was all true. The police call to Elena was real. The report she had dismissed was real too. Chloe stood frozen, then broke down in tears. "What happened? We were only gone for a few days. How did everything turn into this? Seeing the villa reduced to ruins, Felix felt a surge of satisfaction. If the police report was correct, if the surveillance truly showed only Julian entering and no one leaving, then Julian must be dead for sure. He could no longer compete with him for Chloe. Felix's heart was filled with triumph. But on the surface, he wore an expression of deep sorrow. He quickly stepped forward to support Chloe. Chloe, don't be sad. Even if Julian is gone, you still have me. The moment he finished speaking, Chloe slapped him across the face hard. You think you're qualified to compare yourself to Julian? Felix's head snapped to the side from the force of the blow. A clear red handprint instantly appeared on his face. He widened his eyes in disbelief, clutching his cheek as if he couldn't believe that the always gentle Chloe had actually hit him. Chapter 7. Too late for remorse. After standing there in a daze for several seconds, he finally stammered out. Chloe, you? How could you hit me? I only feel bad for you. Chloe was shaking with anger. She pointed at Felix's nose and snapped. Feel bad for me? Felix, stop acting so fake here. Julian got into trouble, and you're probably happier than anyone, aren't you? Felix's face turned pale, and his voice trembled. I didn't. You'd better not have. After saying that, Chloe ignored Felix and ran to Elena's side. Elena, let's go. We'll go to the police station and ask what happened. Julian definitely won't die. Chloe helped Elena into the car. She had no intention of bringing Felix along at all. Felix looked at Chloe's decisive back and clenched his fists. A dark, vicious glint flashed through his eyes. Chloe and Elena arrived at the police station, but the police only handed them a box. They said the box contained Julian's belongings. The two of them couldn't accept the fact that Julian had passed away, no matter what. Holding the box, they returned to Junin Villa District in a daze. Felix was still standing there. Chloe opened the box, and the two of them saw the sapphire necklace Julian had designed with his own hands lying quietly inside. It was like they had been struck by lightning. Tears instantly streamed down their faces. Elena broke down and cried, Julian, I'm sorry. I failed you as your sister. Elena knelt on the ground and kept kowtowing. I'm sorry, Mom. I didn't take good care of my little brother. I'm sorry. Chloe suddenly screamed like she had gone mad. No, Julian can't be dead. How could he be dead? He said he would marry me. He definitely won't die. As if Chloe suddenly thought of something, she began rummaging through the box nonstop. A moment later, she suddenly burst into laughter. Elena, Julian definitely isn't dead. Auntie's bracelet isn't here. Julian definitely isn't dead. That must be it. Felix rushed over and grabbed Chloe's hand as she kept searching, his voice low and gentle. Chloe, calm down. I know it's all my fault. If you two hadn't stayed with me, Julian wouldn't have gotten into this. It's all my fault. As Felix spoke, tears dripped down one after another. Chloe kept shaking her head, unable to accept this reality no matter what. She murmured, How could Julian be dead? Impossible. That's absolutely impossible. Felix looked heartbroken and took the chance to pull her into his arms. Chloe suddenly shoved him away and roared, It's all because of you, Felix. It's all because of you. Don't think I don't know about your filthy little thoughts. All these years, how many times have you tripped Julian up, both openly and secretly? Do you think I'm blind? If Julian is dead, I'll make you die with him. Felix fell hard to the ground, trembling all over in terror. He crawled on his knees to Chloe's feet and defended himself. Chloe, I didn't. I really didn't. I just love you too much. Elena rushed over and slapped Felix hard across the face, gritting her teeth as she said, I want you to disappear from my sight right now, otherwise you'll suffer the consequences. Seeing Elena and Chloe's cold eyes, Felix couldn't help but shiver. He didn't dare stay any longer and scrambled away in a panic. Chapter 8. The Ghost of the Past. After Julian's death, Felix had fantasized about finally enjoying the undivided attention and affection of Elena and Chloe. But reality turned out completely different. Not only did the two women show him no warmth, they instead launched a ruthless retaliation, taking back every gift they had ever given him. They also publicly exposed the fact that he had stolen Julian's artwork to win awards. Felix was blacklisted across the industry. His life collapsed overnight, reduced to poverty and disgrace. Unwilling to accept it, he stormed into Chloe's company to cause trouble. The result? He nearly had a leg broken. With no other choice, he fled the capital in panic and hid in City H. He knew that if he stayed any longer, Chloe might truly kill him. Chloe had gone completely insane. Fortunately for him, City H became a turning point. By chance, Felix was noticed by an influential figure and recruited into a multinational conglomerate. Within 3 years, he rose from a low-level employee to the head of logistics in the group, a position full of profit and power. Meanwhile, over these 3 years, Elena and Chloe fell into despair. Their companies stagnated, then declined, and their business performance collapsed. They were already on the verge of ruin. Chloe, however, still refused to accept Julian's death. For 3 years, she had never stopped searching for him. That day, Chloe rushed into Elena's office in a panic. She opened a document on her phone and showed it to her. "Elena, look. The largest shareholder of the multinational Blackstone Group is also named Julian. It must be him. This time I'm sure of it." Elena put down the documents in her hand and frowned deeply. "Chloe, how much longer are you going to lose your mind? Julian is dead." Chloe shook her head frantically. "No, it has to be him. It can't be anyone else. Chloe, if you keep this up, both of our companies will collapse. And besides, Blackstone Group is worth hundreds of billions. How could its largest shareholder possibly be Julian?" Chloe suddenly asked, "Elena, do you remember the name of the student Julian once sponsored?" Elena froze, not understanding why she was bringing this up. Chloe continued on her own. "Her name is Seraphina, and the current CEO of Blackstone Group is also called Seraphina." "What?" Elena's eyes widened. For the first time in years, she completely lost her composure. Her elegant fountain pen slipped from her hand and hit the floor with a sharp crack. Chapter 9. Cold Rejection. For the past 3 years, Seraphina had taken care of me with unwavering attention. She had somehow learned my preferences in detail. Every day, she prepared different meals just to suit my taste. From daily life to work, she revolved almost entirely around me. Each year, we would take time to travel together. We walked along the seaside, watching the tides rise and fall as the sunset shattered across the waves. Seraphina would suddenly run into the shallow water, playfully splashing crystal-clear droplets everywhere, then turn back to smile at me. We went to football matches together, cheering along with the crowd. We went camping in the wilderness, lying beneath the star-filled sky. Seraphina would sit beside me by the campfire, watching the flames lick the wood as it crackled, the shifting light dancing across her face. We also did charity work together, helping children who could not afford education. The children's timid yet hopeful eyes often made her tear up. Over time, Seraphina and I became inseparable. I finally understood what mutual love truly felt like. One day, Seraphina lay in my arms and told me about Felix. "Julian, just as you predicted, after Felix became logistics director, he started embezzling funds on a large scale. Not only kickbacks, but also misappropriation of company assets. The evidence is already sufficient. It's enough to put him away for life. Do you want to move against him now?" I smiled lightly. "Not yet. I want to see him myself first. It's time to go back." At that moment, the doorbell rang. I thought it was just my neighbor Jason coming over, but when I opened the door, I froze. I never expected Elena and Chloe to have actually found my home. The moment my sister and Chloe saw me, they burst into tears. "Julian, it really is you? I'm sorry." They rushed toward me, desperately trying to hug me, but I pushed them away hard. "You've got the wrong person." I was about to close the door when they blocked it forcefully. Elena cried, "Julian, I didn't consider your feelings. I was wrong. Please forgive me just this once." Seraphina heard the commotion and walked over from the sofa. Chloe's gaze immediately locked onto her, cold and sharp. She raised her voice. "Julian, so this is why you disappeared. It's because of this vixen, right? She seduced you, didn't she?" My expression darkened instantly. "Chloe, watch your mouth." Chloe's eyes immediately turned red. "Julian, you're shouting at me? You never even raised your voice at me before. Now you're defending this woman?" Seeing this, Elena quickly pulled Chloe back and scolded her in a low voice. "Chloe, stop it. Didn't we agree to handle this calmly?" But Chloe wouldn't listen. She shook her off and pointed at Seraphina again. "Handle what? Julian belongs to us. Who does she think she is to interfere?" A surge of anger rose in my chest. "That's enough, Chloe. I have nothing to do with you anymore. I don't want to bring up the past. But if you keep this up, don't blame me for being rude." Only then did Chloe panic. Tears fell uncontrollably, but she still forced herself to speak. "Julian, are you really this heartless?" I let out a cold laugh. "Heartless? You should ask yourselves what you did to me back then. At that, both of them fell silent. I put my arm around Seraphina and said firmly, "My heart only belongs to Seraphina now. There is no place for anyone else. Leave immediately. Don't disturb us again." Elena wiped her tears. "Julian, I'm still your biological sister." Chloe grabbed the corner of my shirt. "Julian, you're lying to me, right? There's still a place for me in your heart, isn't there?" I looked at them coldly. The moment I chose to disappear, we no longer had any connection at all. Chapter 10. Final Reckoning and Resolution. Elena and Chloe stared at me in disbelief. "Julian, please give us one more chance. We really know we were wrong back then. You just never listened to us. That's why we brought Felix in to make you jealous." I couldn't help but let out a cold laugh in my heart. Not listening to them? From childhood to adulthood, I had always obeyed them without question. It was only when I chose to pursue design, when Elena and Chloe both insisted I work at Chloe's company, that I finally refused. That was the only time I stood up for myself and argued with them, and it turned into an all-out fight. I never expected that the very next day, they brought Felix into the house. But now I no longer wanted to say anything. I was already completely disappointed in them. They stepped forward, trying to grab me, eyes full of pleading. I pushed them away hard, sending both of them collapsing to the ground. Without a single trace of hesitation, I slammed the door shut. I sat back down on the sofa with a dark expression as their voices continued outside. "Julian, it's my fault. I'm sorry. Please come back with me. I'll make it up to you. Julian, I know you still love me. Let's pretend nothing happened. Let's start over." I didn't respond. Seraphina looked at my gloomy expression, hesitating as if she wanted to say something. Elena and Chloe didn't leave. They just stood outside. From the second-floor window, I looked down at them coldly. That night, heavy rain began to fall. The rain poured down in sheets, turning the world into a blurred curtain of water. Elena and Chloe stood miserably in the rain. Their hair clung wetly to their cheeks, their clothes completely soaked. Their trembling bodies were outlined in the downpour. Yet even so, they stubbornly refused to leave. Their cries were torn apart and swallowed by the storm. Seraphina quietly came upstairs. She held a blanket in her hands and gently placed it over my shoulders. Her gaze drifted through the rain toward the two stubborn figures outside. After a moment of hesitation, she spoke softly. "Should we let them in to take shelter from the rain? If they stay out there like this, they'll get sick." I frowned slightly. They brought this on themselves. "Don't bother." Seraphina let out a soft sigh and said nothing more. Near midnight, Elena and Chloe were on the verge of collapsing. Their faces were pale, lips turning faintly purple. In the end, Seraphina arranged for someone to pick them up. It was unclear what Seraphina said to them, but after some persuasion, they finally supported each other and got into the car. After handling everything, Seraphina came back inside and apologized to me. I said nothing. Instead, I pulled her into my arms tightly. The next day, Seraphina and I boarded a flight to H-City. Felix was kneeling at my feet, trembling. "Julian, I know I was wrong. Please have mercy on me. Give me another chance." Everyone in the company stared at the scene in disbelief. Seeing my cold expression, Felix crawled forward on his knees, grabbing the leg of my trousers and begging, "Julian, I'm sorry. Please, it's all my fault. I was blind. I really know I was wrong." He broke down in tears, repeatedly kowtowing in desperation. I turned to the police officers behind me and said without emotion, "Take him away." Felix was dragged out in public, screaming at the top of his lungs. "Julian, you set me up. You're going to die horribly. I'll never forgive you, even as a ghost." In the end, Felix was sentenced to life imprisonment for embezzlement and occupational fraud involving an especially large sum. 3 months later, I held a grand wedding with Seraphina in Bali. Seraphina gave birth to 2 children for me, a boy and a girl. Elena and Chloe brought gifts for the children every year. Seraphina softened and secretly accepted them behind my back. I didn't blame her. Since they wanted to make amends, I let it be. But the harm they caused me, I will never forgive in my lifetime. Chapter 11. A Bright New Horizon. Years passed, and the quiet rhythm of our life in Bali settled into something deeply peaceful and complete. The tropical sunlight warmed our home every morning, filling the courtyard with the gentle sounds of our children playing, their laughter echoing off the stone garden walls. Seraphina and I spent our days building a life grounded in real affection, mutual respect, and absolute trust. Watching our son and daughter grow up surrounded by warmth and unconditional love healed the remaining scars of my youth in ways I had never anticipated. One afternoon, as the golden hour light filtered through the palm trees, Seraphina joined me on the veranda with 2 glasses of fresh juice. She sat beside me, leaning her head gently against my shoulder as we watched our children chase butterflies across the lawn. "Julian," she spoke softly, her eyes full of quiet joy. "Looking back at everything we've built, do you feel complete?" I put my arm around her, holding her close, feeling the steady beat of her heart against mine. "More than complete," I replied, a genuine smile spreading across my face. "For the first time in my life, I am exactly where I am meant to be." Though Elena and Chloe continued to send gifts and letters over the years, attempting to bridge the distance, I no longer held on to anger or bitterness toward them. The past had lost its hold on me completely. I had traded the conditional, volatile bonds of my youth for a deep, unshakable foundation with a woman who had always believed in me. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the Bali sky in brilliant shades of gold and crimson, I looked at Seraphina and our children. I had left behind the ruins of my old life, and in their place, I had created a true home filled with endless warmth, lasting happiness, and love that would endure for a lifetime.